Da-di-da-di-da, da-di-da-di-da-da-di-da. What do you hear over the air? CQ serenade. So you don't know just what it means. Dust your shoes off, shake out your jeans. Get on your feet, jump to the beat of CQ serenade.
Welcome to the introduction to Morse Code. It's my pleasure to introduce you to this tonight, and hopefully for the rest of the sessions coming up. My name is Melvin Robinson. I'm KN4GB, and I'll introduce myself a little bit shortly. Just click this. So, who am I? Well, I'm an ex-radio officer, and that's me up there. Yes, that's me. And that's 45 years ago. I used to be in charge of the radio communications and radar on board ships, and there's a ship that I sailed on which is painted gray. It's a helicopter support ship, and that's what I used to do as a young man. Started to learn Morse code when I was 12 years old, and I was doing 18 words a minute at 12. And I went to the Marine College and studied Morse code and communications and radio and radar and things like that. And eventually passed all the exams and headed off to sea as a radio officer. So that's a little bit of my background. The early 1970s, I was licensed as G4AXT back in England. And then in the 80s, VE3OFD. And recently, I passed the extra here in Greenville and became KN4GB. So that's a little bit about my background of who I am. An ex-electrical engineer from England. I used to design radar systems for the military, and moved to Canada to take a job with a company that makes fabrics and dewatering equipment for the paper and pulp industry. I was in charge of their electrical engineering, and then moved down here to an extrusion plant in Vermont. For the last 27 years, I lived in Vermont. And recently, in the last 2 years, I've moved here to Dacresville. So my goal is for the group to enjoy learning Morse code, like I put there, and also have some fun doing it, I hope. So what we'll cover during the class, we're going to learn Morse code. I would like, if possible, if you're not too shy, I'll get you to also come up and actually try sending the Morse code. Maybe some of you might not want to do it today, but eventually you're going to have to send Morse code. So I've always used a straight key, and that's how I was taught, a straight key. I did bring my bug key with me, which works, which we'll get that going if you prefer to use a bug key. It's not very loud, though. It's an old Heath kit. I'll pass it around so people can look at it. And there is another key that James can pass around, which I call it a paddle key as well. It's a mechanical paddle key that I sometimes used to use. I need to work on it a bit. The dots don't work as well as they used to. So also we'll cover what a standard QSO looks like as far as the ham radio goes. And we'll also, I'm hoping to be able to, if there's time, we'll review some digital techniques as well of things out there. James has got some ideas on digital techniques that he's going to share with me, and I'll present it for everyone's use as well. So getting started, there's a number of things out there that you can look up and use. I'm going to be using a CW player, and the website's there. It's a freeware. And I'll also show you all the knock trainer by G4FON, just so you...
And the presentation that you're getting tonight will send you out as a PDF file to your email address, so you don't have to take detailed notes. You'll get all these.
Yeah. So you don't need to write everything down. I will next week. I've got some CDs I'll give out of K7Q0 or QO. He's got some really good sending and receiving tips there, and I'll copy that so you don't have to copy it. You can copy it or download it from the website as well if you want to. but it's free. It's all free stuff, and it's really worth using. Also, for learning, the ARRL, I've got a nice booklet which will do some of the things out of the booklet, and in the back of it, there's a nice CD as well. And also the ARL do an introduction to Morse code. It's a 2 CD, which we'll look at as well. But we won't have time to cover all the details in these. So we will continue. Tips for learning code. So the ARRL has basically, if you can go online with the ARRL, and they've got on their website some slow Morse code practice. It's 5 words a minute. You can download an MP3, and they've got text with it as well. So you can actually check what you're receiving. It's worthwhile downloading them and listening to them and writing down the code and see how well you're doing. Because you're going to have to practice somehow. Those are great ways to practice. I recommend practicing 20 minutes a day. I wouldn't go too much more than 20 minutes a day. And try and find a quiet room where you can do that. 20 minutes a day will be sufficient to get where you need to be. Some courses I've heard, they run twice a week, and they're late at night, may last an hour or so. That's fine too, but I'm not a night owl really. I tend to go to sleep after about 9:30 at night. So I don't stay up late, unless it's to do with ham radio on the air. So you're not going to be able to get a 100% copy unless you're very, very, very good. I make a lot of mistakes, and I guarantee when you copy and you'll make mistakes as well, even sending and receiving. But don't get upset. The whole thing is to don't give up, just don't get discouraged, just keep trying. And if you can get a buddy to work with, it's great to have somebody to send and receive. When I was learning at home, I had somebody who was in the Navy, and he and I would get together every day for 10, 20 minutes and send and receive to each other. So that kind of thing does help. So choosing the key. How many of you have a Morse key? Oh, nearly everybody. Okay, so your preference is up to you, which one you use. Not everybody likes a straight key. That's just what I was brought up. The key I used to use, though, was about this big, like a brick. And it was a Navy key. But it was built like that, so it could take a lot of pounding. And, you know, when you got annoyed with it, it would still work. And there was another reason. When I was on board ship, the ships are doing 45-degree rolls. I used to have to wedge myself under the desk with a Morse key between my knees, and I used to have to send Morse code. And it's very uncomfortable, but you've got a heavy weight as well there, so it helps. And it can be tough sending Morse code when the seas are rough. And in those days, we had teletype, RTTY on board. And if you ever tried changing a roll of paper on a teletype when the ship's doing this, you've got to wait till it goes that way before you pull it out to get the paper. Because if you try and do it the other way, you end up trying to catch a 50-pound teletype. And believe me, it's not easy. So some history. Basically, you all know about Samuel Morse, the telegraph, in 1844, the inventor for the Morse code. I was reading the other day, can anyone remember how he decided on A was going to be dar or E? Anybody remember how he decided what letters go where and where to define the E, how that came about? Well, he did it by, he and his friend were sitting around the desk, and they were reading newspapers. And they would start to scan newspapers. And they figured out, well, the most common one seems to be E. So let's give that a dot. So this is how they start to build up the letters for the Morse code. I've seen a quiz somewhere that said, did he get it from the newspaper? Did he get it from the Bible? Did he get it from somewhere else? And it's A, B, or C. But it was actually from the newspaper. Alexander Graham Bell, we all know about Alexander Graham Bell, 1876. and then Guglielmo Marconi, radio in the late 1890s. Those are some marked days for history to you don't have to remember them, there's no test. But Samuel Morse, 1844. So Morse code's been around a long while. It's not used anymore at sea. It used to be on 500 kilohertz. It used to be the frequency for the emergency channel. We used to have to listen to that 24 hours a day on watch and listen for any SOSs and that kind of thing. Funny enough, what letter do you think goes da, 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 da? Even the guys that know Morse code. 4 dars. There isn't one. But, so they use the 4 dars for the, what's called an emergency receiver on board ships. And if you got 4 dars, 4-second dashes, the receiver would automatically trigger an alarm, and alarm bells would ring in the radio offices when he was asleep, and it would wake him up and alert him to the fact that there was an SOS distress that he had to go and listen to.
So 4 dollars is red alert.
Red alert, yeah. But it used to be an automated system on board ships. Whether they still use it or not now, I don't know. But that used to be on every ship. So Morse code, how many of you actually know all the letters? 2, 3, maybe 3. So this is the Morse code, and on the back of it, it's got kind of the code order, which makes it a little bit easier. The letter E, as you know, is dot or da. I like to think of it as da, 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 da. No, dot is really not the way to think about it. Da, 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 da. So I is da, da, S is da, da, da. Is anybody going to correct me there? Did. Da, da, da is the dashes. I was waiting for someone to correct me.
We're too polite.
Too polite, okay. So,
Much of an expert. We wouldn't argue with you.
I'm trying to throw some curveballs in here. Come on. Is anybody awake out there?
All right, now we got your numbers.
Okay.
Dive in.
Dive in. So, we're going to learn E-I-S-H tonight. There was a 4 that in the letter 5. Why 5? All dots, so dits and dots. So it makes it easier for you to think about.
You mentioned that they picked E as the first letter and they gave it the single dot. Did they continue with that logic as they came up with what each letter would stand for, the most popular, most common used letters?
Yes, they did. So that's how it was started and derived. T, M, O. So we'll be learning some of the easy ones to start with. And before we get into learning them, there's some very important thing about timing that we need to think about. So what we've got here is, it's important to know the timing. Why would we want to know about timing? Anybody?
Because it's like music.
It's like 4 beats to the bar, 8, or whatever you would like to, 8 beats to the bar, 6 beats to the bar, or whatever. It's those musicians there, 4 beats. It's common, right? Common time. So it's the same kind of thing. We're going to be talking about a dot, or a dit, and a da. So what up on the TV there, the dit is a duration, is 1 time unit long. It doesn't define that time unit, just as a time unit. A da is 3 times longer than a dit, basically. So think of it like that. Inter-element gap between dots and dashes within a character. So if you've got letter A, you've got a dit and a da. So before you send the da after the dit, there has to be a certain waiting period. And that's usually, as we've got there, 1 dot. So you've got, if you can think of it as, you really got dit, dit, da, but that second dit you're not sending. It's got to be in your head. So your head's been the computer in this case, and it's doing the work. So keep that in mind. So between each character, there's got to be 3 dits. And then between each word, you want to have 7 dits. These are not cast in stone, by the way. These are just not arbitrary, but it's the kind of thing that every good Morse operator will keep in mind. If you're sending to someone and you don't put those spaces in, you could have a problem. And here's the kind of problem you could have. Few operators will want to be able to hold a conversation when you think about you've sent this. So here's what you've sent. Thanks for the call, old man. My name is Don. My QTH is South Carolina. But really what you sent was the bottom one, if you get the spacing all wrong. Now, how am I supposed to understand that? But it's true, though. If you don't get the spacing right, that's what it'll be like. And when you're writing it down, it'll come out like this.
I have a question already. You said we're going to study using the Farnsworth method, which is increasing the spaces between.
I'll be purposely keeping the spacing slightly longer between each of the characters.
So that's slightly longer than 7 dits?
Yes. And the reason for that, it gives the brain time to get tuned to the sound. And eventually I'll be shortening that up. You might not realize it's being shortened up, but that is the plan. So those of you who don't have an oscillator, you're going to need some way of having an oscillator. You can come up with making one. I made this one for the class. This one only was a $10, $15 oscillator inside. It's a printed circuit board. It comes as a kit. You can buy it from Amazon, I think. And James was so kind, with his plastic printer that he does, he made me a nice box for it. So that's what I'm using here tonight.
Just about all modern transceivers will let you send code without actually going on the air, so that's another way to do it without a code oscillator.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. If you've got a fairly modern transceiver, you can do that. The other way is if you've got an old amplifier with a microphone, put the microphone near the speaker and get audio feedback, and you can actually key that. I've done that in an emergency where I had nowhere else to. My oscillator broke one night, and then I had an amplifier and a microphone, and that's what I did. Just key the microphone. So you can be inventive, right? So this is one using the 555 timer. In the ARL book, you'll find there's an exact very similar design to that. You can easily build it on a printed circuit board, just what I used to call a Vera board. I don't know if anyone's familiar with a Vera board. It's just a board with this metal copper strips on it and holes that you can build it. Another way, this one is no solder code practice oscillator by WA8 SME and K7CCC. And this is an article. They list the parts and pieces. And they just took a piece of wood and some screws and washers and screwed all the parts to it as a class exercise, and made a little code oscillator. And it does work. This is actually, I made this one about 40 years ago. It's actually a bistable oscillator, and it works very well. It works with a 9-volt battery, so you can actually plug in headphones. And the only thing with both these kind of oscillators, it's not a sine wave, so it's not quite as nice on the ears than with a sine wave oscillator. It's more like a square wave. So we've already got the Morse code table. I've already promised to bring some CDs for next week, but the information about that CD is actually already available to you on the web. Just you can go to the website that Gary's going to be sending out the PDF, and you can actually download it. On that CD, it's got the course answers sheet as well, and there's a Morse manual as well. It's very helpful. So, being this class, I've kind of been thinking about it a lot, and I came up with 4 different phases. Learn all the characters, practice all the characters. They kind of go hand in hand. You've got to send and receive. It's great if you just receive, but if you can't actually send, it's not much help. Then we've got to start increasing the speed in sending and receiving. And then towards the end of the class, towards the end of the 10 weeks, I'm hoping we can get 2 keys set up, at least 2, if not more, and actually do some QSO work. So step 1, listen to the sound and write down the letters. I'm going to actually start sending some letters. And hopefully everyone brought a pad and some paper. So you're going to need to be able to write stuff down. If you don't have a pad and paper this time, I might have some paper that I can... So lesson 1, like I said, I'm actually going to do E, I, S, H, T, A, and number 5. And these are what we're going to be looking at. Can anyone remember what an E is? I? S? H? T? And then A? And the 5. 5 dits? Yeah. And with those letters, I asked my wife today, I said, could you print out some words for us so we can send them? And she helped me. She put E, 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 E. I said, oh, great. And then I, then E, I, E, I. So I'm going to kind of be sending those by hand as well. E, I, E, I, O. So letter E, I'll send what I've got here, and you can listen to it, get an idea. You can listen to that and see how many E's you can get. That's it. That gives you an idea of what the E sounds like.
So I only heard 1 E, the very first one.
Yeah.
Then it was
A bunch of 5s. E, H, and then 5s.
then
Yeah.
5 dots in a row. So what am I not hearing?
Well, what you weren't hearing is the spaces. Your ear's not tuned in. That's everyone's going to have that issue, is tuning your ear into listening to the Morse. Let me pull up the software that I'm using. Of course, the screen's all changed at the moment. Let me see. Where is it? So this is one that the CW player, which if I click on number 1, I've already set it up for our class. You can see all the E's in that one. So you actually can see the E's as it's been, which has helped you understand the spacing. Now, that's only at 10 words a minute.
So what would 5 E's versus 5 sound like?
Well, we're going to get there. I've got that set up here, but I'm going to go through the letters E, I, S. So if you listen to I, so that's an I. So you got E, you got the I. You may have a little bit of trouble trying to identify between the I's a little bit. But if we go too slow, you won't be able to achieve the faster speed later. Now, here's the S. H. We've got the T. You see the distinct between the T's and the E's? There's quite a distinction. Anyone not hear the difference? But it's quite different. And then we've got A. So if I go back to T, now if I was going very slow, that T would probably be an E. So with this software, you can actually go in options, I think it is. No, not options, tools. And in the messages, you can actually go in here and put in the letters you want to practice and how many. So you can actually put in what you like here. Now, there wasn't enough space to put a 5, so I'm going to go here and put in the 5. Just like that. And we'll play it. Oh, sorry, 6. So what do you think of that software for use for practicing? That's what you can actually use that. You'll be able to download that online. Yes.
At that rate, how many words per minute would that be?
Well, it's set for 10 words a minute here in this box. if I bump it up to where I'd like to be, there's, say, 20 words a minute, and I send it again, but you got to remember this is 20 words a minute without the spacing that I was talking about for the Farnsworth. This is raw CW. But that is 20 words a minute. So I brought it down so for this purpose of for your listening, to get into the rhythm of it, I brought it down to 10 words a minute. So that's the software you can use to practice. And I wouldn't go below 10 if you're going to do it at home, so that you get into the speed. Okay. So these are the letters that we've just gone through. So what I'm going to do is fix up the actual hand key and send it. So you had perfect timing with the Morse as far as this goes. That was perfect timing. Now you're going to hear it without perfect timing when I send it, because I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. So you can all hear that? Tom, you can hear that? Okay. So let's see if we can copy some letters. I'll use just the E and I and see what, I'll mix them up though. You ready? Anyone want to say what they got? Yeah.
E I E I I E E E E E I E E I E I E.
Almost 100%. You got all the letters correct. Just the spacing, maybe it was my sending.
I didn't think about the spacing. I was just going for the letters.
Yeah, you got all the letters right, 100%. Well done. The middle group there was actually E, E, I, E, E, I, and the space I, E, I, E, I, E.
I started doing that and I got
So it
it
wasn't
here,
just
and I was like,
string of characters,
No, it's not just a string of characters. I put spacing in there.
spacing for words.
Yes. Yeah, I'll send it again. I'll put more spacing in if needed. You ready? That was a full stop. Did, which you haven't covered, but. Usually when we start a communications, in the class when I was doing it, you'd go, start with the letter BT. Was a common way to start some of the Navy communications. And if you make a mistake when you're sending, you're supposed to send a series of dots. Usually it's about 8. Some people send 9, but that means I've made a mistake. And then what you do is go back to the previous word and send that word again. So if you hear somebody on the air and you shouldn't hear in the middle of the conversation, then they'll go back and say, start again, that word they made a mess of.
Like eraser.
It's just like an eraser. So that's erase. Sometimes you'll hear people do strange things on the air, like send question mark. And basically, they'll then send the word twice. So if I'm sending something and I'm sending IASH, I might go send it again. So I've sent it twice. Some amateurs have different techniques, but Gary might send it a different way. Dave might send it a different way. But if you want to repeat something, that's a good way to say it, to repeat. Some people might just go, send the RPT, repeat, and they'll repeat it. So let's go on and send some more letters to you and see what you get. So I mixed it up a little bit there with the letters that we've been doing. Anyone? Yes?
Well, I know I missed one. TISHHSIT, and then I missed something. And then I
Close.
TTHE.
THE? The word that was THE. Got it right, that bit. Good. So I'm actually starting to put words together for you to listen to, not just letters. See if you get the following. That's an easy one.
Is the at
Is
five?
the at 5?
Yes. Want to just say it a bit louder?
Is the at 5?
Yes. Very good. Great. Well done. So we're actually making progress. Anyone completely lost?
Not completely.
Pardon?
Not completely.
Not completely, that's good. It's when I get someone saying, stop, I can't get any of it, and then we got issues. But you're doing well. So we're going to just stick with these letters. You ready? How did that go?
SES, SIS, IS.
Yes, 100%. Well done. You ready? Anybody?
E. Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
ESEISESIEEII something S.
So what you might have written very close is ISE, SIEE, IES. Ready for some more letters?
No.
Do you mind reviewing that one?
Redoing the same one?
Yeah, please.
Okay, let's repeat that one. Did you get that, James? I made a mistake. Ready, start again. I'm slowly getting a little bit faster. I hope you've noticed that. No, okay. Did you get that, James? Oh, okay, I'll go back again and slow down a little bit just for everyone and you. Are ready? How was that? You want to read it back?
I-S-E-S-I-E-E-I-E-S.
Okay, everyone agreed with that? I'll send it back to you a little bit faster and you can just listen to it. That's a real mess, you see. Even I make messes. Ready again? Now, if you didn't hear the errors there, then I'm sorry, but there were mistakes. Ready again, James? How was that? You want to read that one back?
I stopped halfway through.
Oh. Anyone?
I-S-E-S-I-E-E-I-E-S-E-S something something S-I.
Cool. Well, what I sent was, I repeated that one that James asked, I-S-E-S-I-E-E-I-E-S. Then I went on with E-S-E-S, S-I-S-I-E, just to confuse you all. I'll send that one again, and see if you get this one. I've slowed down again so you can get it. How was that? Anybody?
E-S-E-S-S-I-S-I-E.
Yes, very good. 100%. Okay, I'll send 3 more groups and then we'll take a break for 5-10 minutes. Ready? That's a question mark. How did we do on those?
S-E-E-I-S-E-E-I-S.
Yes, 100%. Well done. So what we'll take is a 10-minute break. So you can go to the washroom and whatever, or make a phone call, and then we'll continue a little bit more. Don't want to burn you out too much. Writing cramp. Well, we'll get going again. Is everyone able to keep up the speed so far? Not too bad, I hope. Anyone interested in coming up and sending a short I's and E's or anything get to go at the key? Oh, volunteer.
No, I'm going back.
Oh, shucks. A volunteer. Oh, gee.
He's a Navy man. Never again volunteered yourself.
Never volunteer. Okay. So we don't have any volunteers tonight. Hopefully, we've got someone.
Natalie's gonna do it. Natalie, go, Natalie.
You can have a,
We're not doing it. We don't have to.
Come up with a cheer.
Natalie.
cool, Natalie.
We're just doing 3 letters, right?
3 letters.
How do you do this?
Have you ever sent with a straight key?
No.
Have a seat. I'll just. So just thumb, finger, finger. And usually I keep my arm down on the table so you don't get Got it? Yeah. Cool.
Is that it?
Do you want to do it again?
No.
No. Cool. Well done. But those that don't have a way to practice at home with an oscillator, I will send a link to an MFJ one or something like that, ready-made one, so that you can. It comes with a key, I believe, the one we're talking about. Oh, yeah, that's one. Yes. And you'll be able to practice with that one. They're fairly inexpensive.
I got it on eBay.
You got that one on eBay. Well, that was even probably better than buying it new. But it saves having to buy a kit and soldering and putting it together. The kit's only $15, but if you're not used to soldering and putting things together, then the next best thing is to actually buy the MFJ or something similar that's available, ready built for you to just put the battery in and go. So we'll send out a link on that one. So we'll do some more letters shortly.
I have a question.
Yes.
Robert and I, as you might indicate, want to be sending buddies.
Yes.
And we wonder what would be a good way to accomplish that, even if we should have to involve our computers and the internet.
Well, you could use your telephones, if you like, depending on how far away you are. If you're both licensed, you could go on the band and the appropriate frequencies and call each other up and say, I'm going to be sending on this. Would you take a listen? And you could do it that way. There's not an easy way to do it using the computers, that I don't think.
Well, Skype.
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 And then if you have an audio oscillator, put a microphone near the oscillator.
I'd go up on 10 meters where you can talk and send code. And
Or 2 meters.
2 meters code anywhere? Just special?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, Morse code, you can send Morse code anywhere.
Yeah.
And I do it in the voice portion of the van. Then you can talk while you're, if you wanted to talk.
Well, I've actually joined nets. They've been talking, and I've actually joined nets using CW, and that's quite common. People will accept a CW operator joining the voice net.
Cross mode.
Yeah.
Cross mode, there you go.
It's fun, but if you're not going to get together physically in the same room, well, you could try your phone for a short time. That will work. Then it's just you and the two of you together. No one else is listening. Oh.
Old song.
That's cool.
Hey, Robert. Do I feel embarrassed or what?
Even after the warning.
That's my call sign. But yeah, it's fun. It can be fun. I've had a request to slow down, or not slow down, but make the gaps slightly larger in between some of it, so that the brains are getting tired. We'll do a short session, and then I'll give you some homework as well for next week, and hopefully everyone's having fun. So I'm going to send some more letters. Just got to find the letters. Here we go. And is everyone ready? Okay, here we go then. Anyone like to read that one back?
Is, his, she, his, you, it, thee.
Well, just about. I hope it came out is, his, she, this, it, thee. What I did is I took something that was written down and just took out the words that had the letters that we're using, which doesn't make any sense, but that's what I did. So we'll get back to the easy ones again. Here we go. Okay. Anyone like to read that one back?
E-S-E-S-S-I-S-I-E-S-E-E-I-S-E-E-I-S.
Very nice. Very nice. Well done.
I didn't get the spacing right, but I got all the characters right.
Were there spaces in there somewhere?
Oh, yes.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I'm still having a real hard time.
I got the characters.
Space
Spacing, I
between
think my goodness.
Okay.
It feels like the letters are all
Yep.
spaced evenly almost.
So what I'm going to do is give out the longer spaces. Might send the letters slightly faster. Ready? How was that? Long.
It was a lot easier to pick out the words that time.
Yeah.
Spacing. Yep.
I don't want to get carried away and send so fast though nobody can hear it. So you want to read it back?
Sure. SSS, SS, SES, SIS, IS, ESE, ISE, SIEE, IES, ESES, SISIE, SEE, ISE, and EIS.
Perfect. Perfect. 100%.
And the trick was the longer space between the words, because I wasn't able to separate the words the way you were sending it before.
Yeah. So what I did is I speeded up the actual sending and gave the
Longer space.
yeah. So that's it's all to do with how people are hearing. Yeah. And when I'm actually on the air, I'll send it a lot faster, but I'll space it out as well. But the spaces get shorter as you go faster.
Sure. This is helpful because where we are making mistakes, maybe we can learn from what those mistakes actually are. Some mistakes are coming where bits and dots are together.
Yeah.
Because I cannot discern that it's not two bits.
Right.
The dot. If I pronounce it did dot, they sound different. But when I hear it, it did, the tones are the same.
Right.
And so I'm not yet able to separate those. So the A, the one I kept missing.
Yeah, it'll come though. It will come. I will send something now with A's and T's in it, and a few E's, and see how you do with that. Ready? There's a lot of ha, ha, ha there.
Yeah. Is there an H in there?
So hopefully you got that. The letter A's and T's and S and H's and E's as well, all thrown in there. Mainly letter A's there. Did anyone want to read that back? Well, it was AA, AT, AS, AH, AE, AI, SA, TA, HA, HA, HA. Ha, ha, ha. So hopefully you got that. It was, we haven't practiced a lot of A's tonight, so that was one. The letter A definitely came out there. So see how you do on this one. This is a test. This is a test. So you got that one, right? Let's see what you do on this one. How did you make out with that one? Tie. Yeah, that was the first word.
And then T. Something, S.
H.
Tie this.
Try that word again.
This.
This. Tie this. Not try this, but tie this. Okay, let's see what you do with this one.
Hit this.
Hit this. Then
Right, but we didn't cover the N yet, did we?
No.
try this. Some people haven't recovered the N. We haven't covered N tonight, but I just thought I'd throw it in because I know some of you know the N. Then hit. Okay. Try this one. I keep throwing things in so it makes you think. Anybody?
She it.
Okay. Good.
He hit.
All the police, he had.
Call the police. Okay. Try this one. This is a hit. Getting better, you see, getting better. Try this one. Anyone? Try it again. She ties. It's not very good grammar, but it's the best I can do. With the letters we have, it's kind of hard to put things together. Ready? Here we go. This is a set game and match. So as you're building the letters and building words, you can see it starts to flow, and actually the faster I send it, it becomes easier to receive with the letters. I find it harder to send slow than it is to do fast. It is actually harder to copy slow in the long run than it is to copy fast. So we'll send a few more letters, and before I do that, I'm just going to, we've already done the break. Here's something to think about for next week. Practice over the next week, ready to listen and write down what you hear, what we've already copied. But then I want you to learn the letters M, O, N, and a 0.
Are we ready to fix your writing it down? I'm getting behind because I can't write fast enough.
Are you doing cursive or?
I can't read my cursive if I'm not struggling.
Okay. No, there's no real trick to it. No.
I can probably look at you and do it on the page without looking at the page.
Maybe that's the way, or speak it out as we're doing it. In your head, just. What I do a lot of the time when I'm on the air, I won't write it down. I'll write the odd word down, but I'll be listening to the Morse.
Listening behind.
Yeah. But if you miss a letter, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Leave a space in the writing when you're doing it, so that you know, or put a little line that you've missed a letter, so that when you go back later, you can always fill it in. Years ago, when they used to do tests, they'd send 5 minutes of wording, and I'd have to write it down. And if I missed a letter, I'd just put a line. But after the test, you were allowed to go through it yourself and read it and just fill in the letters. If it was English language, you just fill in the missing letters. And you weren't degraded because of that. But if you left it blank, you lose points. So it's just a way of looking at it. But nobody gets it 100%. Even when you're sending, you're going to make mistakes. And depending on how you got your key, this key's sliding all over the table. You know, if your key's not heavy and it's not down, you're going to find it hard to use the key as well. This thing's sort of like this. This key was made to strap to your leg. Now, I'm not going to sit here and put it on my leg, but the key I used to use for many, many years was similar to this, and I built about a 4-inch by this thick, by this width of a metal steel block. I put little feet on it, and I gave the key to James. He uses it as a boat anchor now. It was an Army key, right?
WT8 amp.
A WT8 amp. And I had that for many, many years, probably about 30-something years or more that I used to use. That was my main key until someone was kind enough to buy me a Kent key, which I now use, which is nicely set up. It's on my desk in my radio room. Again, it's heavier. It doesn't move around. So how's everybody doing? Getting a bit tired? Because Morse code is tiring. I think it's about 8:17. We've got the assignment M. Does anyone know what M is? Da, da. O. N. And I've got 0. So that's for you to kind of at least recognize them for next week. And then we'll start practicing it next week. Hopefully everyone's had fun. So we'll continue next week, same time, same channel. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Full stop.
Da-di-da-di-da-da-di-da, da-di-da-di-da-da-di-da. What do you hear over the air? CQ serenade. So you don't know just what it means. Dust your shoes off, shake out your jeans. Get on your feet, jump to the beat of CQ serenade. CQ has gone and brought us a new rhythm that's swinging all the cats by the ear. Let's do ourselves a favor and get with them. You'll find you get the message, man, you'll hear it coming loud and clear.